So I have the sketchbook that I started back in January, and I only have 7 spreads left to go. So I'm going to do a video where I finish this sketchbook in a week. So in 7 days, I'm going to finish all 7 spreads, and I'm gonna take you along my whole process. So let's sketch. So one of the things I really want to work on these spreads is going to be some still life. So I think that's what I'm going to start off with today. I don't really have a reference at all. I'm just kind of like using items that I want to paint and putting them together to just kind of create a still life. But I do want to do some with actual references. I think that should be something I do really soon, because that's probably important as well, to be able to draw what I see. But also, I don't know why I'm overthinking this. I shouldn't be erasing. I'm just kind of sketching. Let's see if I can loosen up. Sorry if there's like a drastic change in lighting. It is a very cloudy day, but I have this sketch down here. I'm gonna do a different one over here. I like to sketch before I paint. I'm sure there's probably people who can just sketch paint, I guess, like paint and sketch at the same time, but I can't do that. So I need to put down my idea first, and then I can enjoy the process of painting and mark making afterwards. So that's what I'm doing. I'm making my sketch right now. So these are the sketches, and now for the fun part, I get to paint them. I usually try and keep the spread with one color palette, so even though the pictures are different, I'll probably use the same color palette, and it's really fun to see how that same color palette can be used in different little illustrations like this. So yeah, I'm excited to see. So far, this one's my favorite. I really love this leaf, and I just love the way that the coffee mugs look with it. I don't think I've ever done one with like more than one coffee mug in it, so that it looks like it's a bunch of friends having coffee, because that's kind of what I'm getting out of it. So really excited to paint this one, and this is kind of my comfort ones, so still loving it. I'm gonna have fun painting it, so let's paint it. So I think these are the colors I'm going to use. I'm pretty much, I guess, a self-proclaimed mixed media artist, because I just use whatever I have in hand as long as it's the colors that I want. So if it's house paint, it's house paint. I have these from murals, but also I do paint with house paints. Like, this is filled with house paint samples because they're super cheap and they really do work to paint with. So I've actually been doing a lot of my paintings with these, but gonna do this whole mixture of paint mediums and go with it because I like the colors. So I don't really have a specific way that I do things in my sketchbook, because for me, my sketchbook is really a space of exploration. So if I stick to doing things the same way, then I'm obviously not trying new things, and that's not the point of it. So I pretty much can't be like, oh, let me just tell you about my process, because there's no specific process, just the idea of I want to paint and I want to have fun while doing so, but I also want to have something that I can look at when I'm done. So that's pretty much it. I'm like, I need to fill it up with color, so I just look at it like a coloring book. And like right now I'm starting with the background. I don't always start with the background, but that's what I chose to start with this time. So I'm just kind of color blocking in the parts where I know I'll go, and I can be a little bit messy with this color because as I put stuff on top, I'll clean it up, and that's pretty nice. So it just allows me to have more fun and to really get the hang of the brush before I start having to stiffen up to add a little bit more details, just because that is the way that I like to do my work. I have tried doing the more soft looking paintings and I do love it. It's just doesn't feel always so me. So I do have a certain kind of look, I guess you can say, I kind of go for, but it's not always purposeful. Like if I'm doing the background, like right now I'm just very randomly just kind of putting it, and as long as it's filling up and I'm having really fun textures and stuff, then that's all that matters. I don't like full bumpy spots, so I do try to get those down, but I do also attempt my hardest to keep the textures that I get from the brush strokes of me just being random and loose. That is the whole goal of my sketchbook, just to be loose and to have fun. So that's it, that's the rule. And because it's a sketch, it doesn't have to be at all what it is. Like, I think this wine bottle, I made it way too big, so I'm going to like make it smaller, which is why I'm doing this, which is fun. You can just do whatever you want. It's your sketchbook, have fun. So one of the things I do when I want to have a loose feel and I'm not really trying to take too much time on painting a certain thing is I hold the brush more towards the back instead of the like top part of it. I feel like it makes it more stiff instead of, if I have it like this, it forces me to use my arm and not my wrist. So that's been something I've been doing a lot more in my work, to have more loose strokes. But yeah, that's pretty much what I'm doing right now to get this done. I'm painting over the cups because those are probably going to be see-through, and I like when you can see the background on it, and it looks better if you can see it like this instead of me going around it, like blocking it out, painting it, and then trying to add the background later. It's just better if I cover it and then just either remember where it was or just add it in a whole different spot. But the sketch is just there to start me off. I think I'm gonna keep working on it like back and forth, so I'm gonna squish some more paint and paint the background on the other side. So yeah. So now I'm going to start breaking up the kind of like blue tones, I guess, and going to go in with an orange. So I have this light orange kind of color, and that's what I'm gonna use. This is pretty much how I work. It's just kind of like picking up a color and then figuring out where that color is gonna go, and then from there another color, and then slowly building it all up until I'm happy with what I see. If I don't really like the way a color looks after I've been putting more colors down, I can always cover it because it's paint, so no biggie. Just fun and exploration and really just trusting my gut. It allows me to have a time and space for me to just allow my intuition to flow, and for me to learn how to trust it, especially in my art crafts, like what feels good, when should I stop. And if I'm not listening to that, then obviously I don't think I would be in sync with my work. So it's a really good practice to have, and my sketchbook is the perfect place for it. I love the way the colors look. It's balancing when it comes down to tones, but not done yet. I'm gonna start adding this kind of like yellow green that I've been really loving. I think it's gonna be like really fun. I used this in a mural and now I like it. It's coming together. It's looking really cute already. Like, I love the looseness, and I think I'm going to try and bring it all together with probably a colored pencil or a couple of colored pencils to add a little bit of texture and a bit of stiffness into it, but nothing too much, just to bring some structure. But I don't know, we'll see. That's just what I'm thinking right now, but I still have a little bit more to paint. Okay, this is gonna be my last color that I'm going to use, and it's one of my favorite colors, and I think it's gonna bring everything together so well. So let's see if I'm right. Oh, whoops, I just dropped the lid, but no interrupting this flow. We are just going to go in. See, that looks so cute already. Like, it adds such contrast because it's such like a light color. Going to try and make it kind of like a wash on this one, so you can still see the stem, but I don't know if it's gonna work. There it is, cute. So now I'm gonna go in with this colored pencil and just add little tiny details, or at least try. Day 1, spread 1, all done. I really like the way they both came out. Like, I can't even be like, this is my favorite. They both look so good, so cute. But honestly, maybe this one's my favorite. So it is day 2. Today's Tuesday, June 13th. I'm feeling a little bit funky, so I think I'm gonna stick to my comfort and probably do some plants, some flowers, some birds, something like that. And I want to work with oil pastels because they're smooth and buttery and pretty easy. I don't have to wait for them to dry, and I just feel like I have a little bit more control when it comes to them, even though they're messy. So yeah, I'm gonna start on day 2 spread, so let's do it. So I'm not really using a reference again, just doing plant shapes that I remember and that are comfortable, and just allowing myself to play because that is what I need. I am in the middle of getting ready for my first ever workshop, and it involves a lot of art making and a lot of marketing. So I've been a little bit stressed out with all of that in a good way. I'm not saying it in a bad way, but it's just been really stressful and a lot of work and a lot of new stuff. So I don't want to stress myself with making something that won't be fun, and that isn't what I really want to do. So yeah, just gonna do some silly little oil pastel drawings and allow myself to have fun because that's all I want to do right now. I think one thing to remember about art all the time is that it all gets built up one step at a time. It's easy to see a final picture and think of all the elements at once, but the way I do my art is one element at a time and then start putting it all together until I feel happy with it, and then I can add more things. So that's looking good. Just adding some fun textures and some shadows. I'll see if I can like layer on it and add a little pattern to it. Love this blue. I think it's like a cobalt blue. But it's just so bright and fun and primary. I don't even think the camera picks up how bright it is. I just love oil pastels. They just kind of make you feel like when you're a kid and making art and just being messy, having fun, and that's like the whole purpose of art to me, so I love the feeling of it. Okay, let's see how I can add like a pattern and see how this will layer. Or maybe I can scrape. We'll see. That's not too bad. And now to decide what kind of pink I want. I realized that oil pastels, they have a very painterly look when you press down really hard, and you're able to get like really lovely texture. So I have so much fun just doing that, just like pressing hard and filling up the space. It adds a lot of texture and I like it. This is the part that gives me anxiety. Like, how do you get all that off without like smudging it? Pretty sure I am smudging it. Look at my fingers. It's so messy. Sometimes to bring the colors together, I like to do like a little border. It just looks cool. Or I don't know, I like it. And now I have this weird empty spot up here, so I'm just gonna fill it up with some random little flowers. Like a pattern. Now for the next page, this one over here, which my fingers are really messy so I shouldn't touch, but I think I'm going to do a bird and a flower like I mentioned. And I'm probably going to keep the same color palette because I love this color palette to make me really happy. And like I mentioned yesterday, I love keeping the color palettes cohesive on the spread. It just feels fun, so that's what I'm going to do. Let's draw a bird. So I've been drawing birds a lot, and I have my own way of drawing my funky birds, so it's pretty much muscle memory by now. It's just that, and then there it is, a bird. I actually want to have the bird be fully blue, so now I have to make these be negative space. Didn't think about that. Okay, so now that the bird is done, I will add the flower. So I'll start with the green. The way it is, I want the stem to be up here and then right here. I like making it look almost like the bird's a scissor and it's snipping it in half as it's gliding down the air. No reason for it, just like doing that. And now a flower, which will look like so. Oh, I know what I can do for the background. I can do this color because I use this color for, oh, but then I can't use it for that. I'll use this for shadows. A little here, a little there. And now I can use this kind of green, turquoise, burnt green maybe? I don't know. I can use this color as my background color and it's the same color as the other page. This is my favorite part. Adding the background in sometimes just makes it feel so nice to see it come together. I honestly think this color is a little too vibrant for my camera because they look so dull on my viewfinder right now. So I don't know if that's how they're gonna appear on the screen, but they're so beautiful. This is pretty much the green that I use in my work all the time now. And a bunch of messy fingers later, I'm all done and I feel so much better because it was nice and free to do, not much thinking, but look how cute it looks. It looks so cute because it was my comfort stuff. So don't forget, your sketchbook is not your enemy. Don't do things you don't like in here. Do things that make you happy, and every now and then explore some new stuff, but you know, find happiness in your comfort. There's nothing wrong with drawing the same things over and over because that's how you get better. Anyway, see you tomorrow. Hi, so it's day 3 and for today's sketchbook day, I'm going to make these stamps and put them in my sketchbook because I need to make more stamps and I think it'd be cool to test them out in my sketchbook. So I drew these out this morning and this was kind of like my initial idea, but I really didn't like the way it was looking, so I redrew it. I'm about to go over it with a micron because I like seeing it black, and this is another one I think I'm going to do. I'm not 100% sure on it, but this one, yes, it's my favorite already. Like, it's not printed and I love it. So gonna carve these 3 for today's sketchbook. Is this sheeting? I don't think so. If you want to consider it, that's fine, but there's no rules. It's my sketchbook. If I want to carve something and then stamp it onto my sketchbook and say that I did my sketchbook for today, I feel like that's okay because I'm still doing something, right? Alright, no more justification, let's just carve. So no one's really asked me about my carving process before, but I'm gonna talk to you about it because I want to. There's different methods to get your design on the block. I choose to mainly draw my designs on there just because that's what feels most natural to me and my work. If I transfer it too many times, it starts feeling too stiff and I just don't like that. So I don't do transferring that much. But yeah, for the most part, I just either grab a marker or a pencil and I just start drawing until I get the design I want. And then I make sure to, if I draw it with pencil and not with a marker to begin with, I go over it with a marker. It just helps me see it better and be able to follow the lines a lot better than with the pencils because it's like a sketch. And also like it can kind of rub a little bit away, not that much, but it just helps me visually see it better, I guess. I don't know, but I'm going to trace this whole thing and fill it up with black like I did pretty much with this one, and I'll see you after that because once that's done, then I feel confident to start carving. So yeah, see you in a minute. So this one's all filled in. Now what I'm going to do, anything that's pink is pretty much what I'll carve out, and that's going to be the negative space, and I'm going to be using my I think this is like the beginner speedball kit thing they sell, and it comes with a bunch of the different blades, and they all go inside right here, and it's pretty handy. I'm no pro, so this works for me. And the way I start and what works for me from what I've like tried is to use this really fine detailed one to kind of outline it, and just after that I can go in with a bigger one and it just doesn't really mess my design up. I've noticed that if I just go in with the other one straight to it and try and trace the design with it, then I don't really get the most accurate look for it. So I'm going to trace it with this little fine one, and then I'll start carving everything else out. So that's what I'm doing. So I just went over everything around it, and now with this little tiny one, I'm just gonna carve again, just kind of going around and start taking bigger chunks out until none of that pink stuff is there. So this is what I'll be doing. So these are all carved. I'm going to roll them with some ink and test print them. So here are the test prints and the block prints. They look so cute. I love the way the bird came out. I did add way too much ink both times though, so I do need to work on not adding as much. But the stamp is so cute, and this one is amazing. I love them. See you tomorrow though. Hey, so we've made it to day 5, and it's been a busy day. I'm actually shocked that I found time to sit in my studio. But here we are, day 4. Did I say day 5? I did, didn't I? It's day 4. It's day 4. It's not day 5. It's day 4. So, yeah. Day 4, and today we're gonna paint. I think I was feeling a little bit funky on this day, and I honestly did not talk at all throughout my process. So I'm just hopping on here with a voiceover to just talk a little bit about what I was doing. I think I mentioned earlier in this video that I don't usually sketch with paint. I always draw it out. And since my sketchbook is a space for me to just kind of get out of my comfort zone every now and then, I chose to just start painting without actually having a sketch on there. And honestly, it was really fun, and it's something I've been doing a lot more in my sketchbook. It feels really freeing, and I don't really have to think too much about what I'm gonna sketch there and then how I'm gonna color it. I'm just really flowing and just painting. So that's what happened here, and it was really nice. So an entire week has gone by, and I am not done with my sketchbook. I finished after day 4, and for some reason I decided to start this challenge on a very hard and busy week, and that was just not a smart idea. After I did this one, I have not done any more. So now we have 1, 2, 3 spreads that I'm gonna finish right now. Like, I'm just gonna sit here and finish them. No idea as to what I'm gonna put on them, but feeling playful. It's been a couple of like rough days of feeling some imposter syndrome, and honestly all I want to do is play with my art. So perfect space to do it, and I get to finish the sketchbook, so that's even more rewarding. Okay, so I have an insane amount of scrap paper. I just did my workshop this weekend of art and blooms, and this is pretty much like all the paper that I had brought there, and it's all cut up, and there's tons of scrap. And that's what I'm gonna use for this first spread, some paper cutting. Let's do it. I also have other papers that I have as scraps that I just decided to add for added texture, like these handmade papers that I just don't like what I did on the other side, and I could paint over it, but also I could make stuff out of it and have some lovely texture. So let's play. So paper cutting for me is very free flowing. I don't really sketch what I'm going to cut. I learned that just does not work for me. So yeah, just gonna free flow and figure this out. I'm attempting a bird, so I at least have the shape in my mind, and since I've done so many birds before as drawings, it just comes pretty natural for me to draw it with my scissors. The good tip that I use whenever I'm cutting is I don't move my scissors around, I just move my paper. And then that's pretty much how I flow. If I were to try to move my scissors, I would just be going all crazy. But if I'm moving my paper, then it just allows me to flow better and get the shapes that I want a lot better. So yeah, that's what I've learned works for me when it comes to doing that. And I'm just gonna start with the wings and the face, and then I'll spread it out to the legs. I'm already getting that bird shape. Whenever I don't have a plan, I just stick to my comfort motifs that always show in my work, since I know how to do them and they're very familiar. And I think I mentioned this, it's just comfort for me. I rather start there, and whatever flows out from there flows out, but it's always a good starting point on those funky feeling days where not really many new ideas are steaming. And honestly, I think there's endless possibilities to things. So even if I'm always doing birds and I'm always doing flowers, I don't think they'll ever always look the same. And it's really fun to experiment on how many different variations of them I can create, and in how many different ways I'm able to manifest them into life, even though I've done them before. So I love doing art that repeats. I used to have a hard time doing that, but I realized that the repetitiveness of it is just kind of meaningful, and it means something to me. It's showing up over and over again because it must mean something to me. So yeah, that's my thoughts on making kind of the same art, kind of, or using the same subjects over and over. I don't think that you need to always spread out from that. I think you can stay there for a little bit and explore everything you can with those things before you move on to exploring something new. But you don't have to change the subject in order to keep on exploring. Like, you can explore many different ways with one subject. And I think that's something I didn't realize at first, and I used to try and do all these different things that just didn't mean much to me, and it wasn't fun to me, but it was just I can't keep doing the same thing. But honestly, if I wanted to, I could. I can just do it in different ways, different techniques, different materials, but still have it be the same motifs. And yeah, that's kind of what I've been learning this year, and that's what I'm working with. So this is kind of how I go. I kind of cut and start placing where I think it would go, and just keep playing and building, and then I'll glue it after that. And even then I'll probably change a little bit, but it's looking cute so far. So I literally can't find glue sticks, so I'm gonna use this glue and a brush, and I have everything set up where I want it to go. I'll start with the little details. I'll glue those on there, and then I'll glue everything to the paper, and it should be done. So I'm gonna glue it, and then I'll see you in just a little bit. So here it is, all glued down. I love the play of textures against the flatness, and just the different textures in general look super cute. Yeah, gonna let this dry a little bit more, and then moving on to the next one. No idea what I'm doing next, but I've been really into oil pastels lately. So I think I'm gonna do, not this moth, this is just kind of for the shape of it, but I'm gonna do a moth with the colors that I have. Or maybe I will do, you know what, I'll use this pattern, but I'll make it with the colors that I have. This is different. This is out of my comfort zone, and I'm taking you with me, so yeah, this is gonna be uncomfortable. I'm going to start with the dark parts of it. So starting with the middle, I'm just kind of looking at it and just kind of placing things where I feel would be right, even if it's not. No, that one was so down. It has like, oh my god. Okay, that was, yeah, this one should have went more that way. But as to funkiness of it, it's okay. We're gonna move on. I'm gonna do this part of the body that's pink. I'm gonna make it lilac. I'm just kind of blend it in there. Goes here. I love the way these colors look together. Like purple and greens have been my new obsession. I was worried about the pattern being like the same number. I was not paying attention to the same alignment. So that's top wing, and the bottom wing is like the same color. So we're gonna have to figure out a way to add some depth, I guess, and antenna. That is like the ugliest moth ever. Forgive me. But you know, we're gonna roll with it. I'm going to just add a background color, and it's gonna be a very abstract, funky moth. Way funkier than like I'm used to doing my work. Bad art is part of it. I'm loving the colors though. Like I'm not mad at these colors together at all. It's the only thing I'm like, they make me happy. Do you see how buttery and like soft these are? So we're gonna put that to the past. Like we're gonna forget all about it. Like it just doesn't exist. I think exploring is important in our practice, and I definitely think it's something that not a lot of people like to do, and we try to skip right to the easy ones, like the part where, oh, everything's great, art is amazing, everything I make is good. But that's just not how it works. Like that's just not how we grow. It's just practice and do things that are out of your comfort zone. I know I've been preaching about doing things in your comfort zone, but you also need to do things that are out of your comfort zone. There needs to be a balance with what we're doing. That fell, and I'm not going to go get it. So there has to be a balance with what we're creating and how it is that we're experimenting, so that we're allowing ourselves to grow, which is why I don't ever think that having a specific art style is very good for you. I feel like it's detrimental to your work, and it can make you feel stuck in the place that you are, because then you're always having to create things a certain way, and then there's no room for growing. So for me, the best way to approach art is to experiment, do things that make me feel uncomfortable, that I'm not really knowledgeable on, so that I can learn and even be like, well, I don't want to do that again, or just, you know, continue to figure out how I can work it into my practice more if it's something I like. So yeah, just experiment with things and don't get stuck on one certain kind of style, because you're not gonna grow that way unless you do. But I don't know, I didn't, so it's just not what worked for me. The way that I was able to figure out what I like is by doing things that I was not comfortable with and that I felt were going to come out really bad, like right now. So yeah, we need to make bad art. Bad art is important. Part of the growing pains, right? Sometimes with my reference, I'm pretty selective as to what I'm looking at and what I want to see. So that's kind of what I'm doing. Kind of extended that shadow too much. Let's see if I can erase it. Yay. Oil pastels are honestly like just painting with a crayon. That's what it feels like if you press hard enough, especially these like super soft buttery ones. It's so fun. My Make Bad Art spread. I do love the colors though. They look super nice. I'm gonna finish it with some painting, and I'm gonna keep it pretty minimal. Again, I have no idea what I'm gonna do, but I got pink and a kind of turquoise, kind of teal, I don't know, bluish, greenish color. Yep. And that's what I'm gonna use. Let's get started on this. I really love mark making when it comes to my work. I like making flat looking illustrations that are filled with mark making texture. So I will be very cautious and very intentional about the marks I'm putting down. sometimes I'm quite rough on stuff, but I'm still being intentional on the direction in which things are going and how the strokes are flowing together. It's just something that I really like to play with in my work, to try and bring a little bit of something that's not as flat as my usual stuff. But yeah, I'm just playing with textures right now. Really like doing that. Okay, so I'm gonna leave that to dry before I do a pink background, and I'm gonna move on to this side, which I will probably end up doing some birds, because why not? So for this one, I think I'm gonna go for an inverted look, I guess would be the right way, but I'm not gonna do, I don't think I'm gonna do flowers, but I'll make this be the background color, and I'll put this down first, just because I don't really want to go clean my brush into pink and then do it again. So it's just because I'm being lazy and because it's my sketchbook and I can do it. So I'm going to start with just kind of squaring this off with a border, and then from there I'll start filling it in and shaping out the birds or whatever it is that I'm going to end up going with. Now let's do a bird here. So I'm just gonna keep adding some birds where they feel like the best belong. I'm really honestly just flowing. Okay, now I just gotta fill up. I feel like I don't like that one, so bye bye. We'll keep it at 3. That looks cute. So honestly, the paint's not all the way dry, but we're gonna still work. We're gonna still work around that. I'll start with like the parts that are not. These are both really warm. I don't know why I thought this pink was a little bit cooler tone, but it's like very warm. We'll see how I feel about it, but again, it's my sketchbook. It's okay. I honestly don't know if I've said anything useful throughout the entire time I've been filming this videos, so hopefully you enjoy my commentary as I'm painting in my sketchbook. I think I've said this, but my sketchbook is just a space for exploration and fun. No judgment, even though I sometimes am like, what is that? Like, why did I make that? But sometimes you just need to make bad art, and then to have a space to make bad art is just so nice. Like, I can come in here and just make whatever, and it doesn't matter because it's my sketchbook. I'll close it up and it's not going to be loose paper everywhere. Once I'm done with it, I can put it to the side. Don't have to look at it again, or I can look at it again and be like, holy crap, look at what I've made, or look at how I've grown. And that's pretty cool. Like, I have old sketchbooks, and I'm like, I'm so glad I started doing that. And I like my old sketchbooks, honestly, they're so stiff, and there was like this forcing of trying to make very aesthetic sketchbooks, and it just wasn't it. Like, I love my sketchbooks more when I'm just flowing and having fun and actually exploring. That's when I make the coolest things, because I think obviously if I just am very like, oh, okay, I'm gonna make this way and this has to be like that, for me that is just horrible. It is a horrible experience. It's not fun. When I'm just like, I have no idea what I'm doing, I'm just gonna try this out, that's definitely more fun. And like, I sometimes keep it very simple and I just play and I just want to move my hands and just paint. That's literally it. For me, it's just the act of painting, of creating, of drawing. Like, that's enough. So sometimes I'll stick to things that I can zone out with, like flowers and birds, because I'm so accustomed to drawing them. Like, it's honestly muscle memory just drawing them the way that I draw them. But when I want to experiment other things, I also have a space to not have to have it perfect. Like, if I want to try still life paintings or painting something like based off a photograph, which is not what went well on this one because I wasn't using accurate colors, but I have tried that before on this sketchbook and it's worked pretty well. And it's nice to have a place where I'm like, okay, this doesn't need to be hung up and like no one needs to see it, and it's just for me. If it comes out good, then it's like a beautiful page and I can scan it, and if it doesn't, then I can just move on and paint something else. So I just love that about sketchbooks. I feel like everyone needs a sketchbook, and I know like in the beginning I feel like I was like, no, I don't need a sketchbook, they're not for me, I don't need to sketch anything. And like, yeah, it doesn't need to be a sketchbook in the sense of, oh, I'm sketching all these drawings and I'm going out into the world doing plein air sketching and looking at all these things and doing sketching. It can just be just a place to make art and a space to explore. That's all it can be. It doesn't need to be a place that has to be stressful and you need to make these pretty sketches and these pretty paintings. It's just a space to create. Whatever comes out, comes out. So if you sit down and you create something and it comes out good, that's great. And if it doesn't, then at least you sat down and you made some art. Like, that's what matters. That's the most important part, because how are you going to grow if you're not making art, if you're not trying new things, if you're not actually creating? Like, you have to be creating. So why not give yourself a space to do that? Sorry, I'm very passionate about that. I feel like you can tell that in my tone, but yeah, just grab a sketchbook, start creating, judgment free. I'm using a very tiny teeny brush now to add the last little tiny details to these birds. So that will be it, and I will be all done with this sketchbook, because I don't think I'm going to do anything on the last page. But yeah, that's gonna be it, just my spreads. And I am officially done, but I can't close it because these are still drying. Thank you for watching. I will wait till this is dried and then I'll do a little quick flip through. So just doing a quick flip through before I end this video. This was my first spread, which was just painting and using colored pencils. And then I did this spread, which was the oil pastels. And I always put a piece of paper in between, because if not, they are going to mix together. I've learned my lesson on that, so I don't do that anymore. Then we did the stamps, and I love the composition of this. Like, I honestly love this. Like, if it was a print, I would love that. It's like such a beautiful composition, but I love all these stamps too. Then we have the very sticky house painting. I love the spread. It's super loose, and especially this side, it's really fun, really abstract. You can tell I loosened up more here, and here I was still trying to get the hang of it. After that was paper cutting, and birds and flowers are just my comfort, obviously. That's why they show up so much. It's what I love to do. And then we have my bad art spread, which is so funny. The little moth and the book that doesn't look like a book. I really do love the colors still though. And then last spread was again flower and birds with 2 colors, and that was it. I finished this sketchbook. I am thinking of doing a sketchbook tour of it, but I'm probably gonna do it just for my Patreon. So if you liked what you saw and want to see what else is in this sketchbook, then yeah, go head on over to my Patreon and you can see all the stuff that I've done in here, because it's a lot, like a lot. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy this kind of video, and hopefully I can do more like this and show you more of my sketchbook process and just art process in general. But I'm happy you made it to the end if you did. If not, I completely understand, and I'm just talking to myself right now. But yeah, subscribe if you want to see more from me. Like this video if you liked it, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!